Aloha from Maui. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do just a short flow for hamstrings and for hips, which can cause a lot of our issues. Often when we spend a lot of time sitting, whether you're sitting at a desk or sitting in your car or anything like that, the hip flexors in the front are always contracted, and so they tend to actually get a little bit shorter. And the gluteal muscles in the back are always stretched out, so they tend to get weaker. And this can cause really big problems with our posture. It can cause low back pain, hip pain, and even knee pain. So it is something we are going to address today, and we'll try and do it quickly. So I hope you enjoy. I'm going to start by reading from Ephesians chapter 3, starting at verse 14. It says, I fall to my knees and I pray to the Father, the creator of heaven and earth. I pray that from his glorious, unlimited resources that he will empower you with inner strength through his Spirit. Then Christ will make his home in your heart as you trust in him. Your roots will grow down into God's love and keep you strong. And may you have the power to understand how wide, how long, how high, and how deep his love is. So we're going to start in a seated position here today, sitting cross-legged. You can take your hands to your knees here. We'll just start with some hip circles. Start to wake up those joints, lubricate the joints. I don't know what time it is where you are right now when you're doing this, but for me right now it is very, very early. The sun's not even awake yet. We're going to switch directions, go the other way. Coming back to center, sitting up nice and tall, lengthening the spine. Right hand down, left arm up, and stretching over to the side. Trying to keep both sitting bones down on the mat evenly. Coming up and going the other way, right arm up and over. Back to center, inhaling both arms up. Exhale, twisting to the left. And release, inhale up. Exhale, twisting to the right. And release. We're going to do one that's a really big hip opener here, so you can kind of get to it from your cross-legged position. Keep your right knee down where it was. Take the left knee, hooking it over top. You might have to kind of pick up the hips a little bit here. The goal being is that you're trying to stack your knees on top of each other while getting your hip bones straight and your sitting bones evenly on the mat here. So if you have one knee that's way up, then that's where it is. That's where you work from. You can put a cushion or a block or something underneath that knee so that it can kind of relax into that spot. If your feet are closer in, that's going to be a little bit easier. If they're farther out parallel, then it's going to be a little more intense. So just breathing here should feel a nice big stretch on both outer hips here. Some people are really flexible, and if you feel nothing here, you can also add like a forward fold into it as well and coming up over top of the knees. Now to get into going the other direction and doing the other side, you could of course just unhook your legs and go the other way, but that's not as fun as this way. So you're going to come forward with your hands onto the mat, you're going to lift up your hips, and then you're going to walk yourself in a circle. Don't move your feet. Just keep turning, 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 and then drop your knees back down, and you should be the other direction. So you can kind of get yourself into position on this side. One side might be totally different than the other. I always have one hip that's way more tight than the other. Again, trying to get the knees stacked and the sitting bones level on the mat here. Breathing here. Now to come out, we're just gonna put our hands behind us, leaning back and taking the legs out from that way. We're gonna come into a wide-legged forward fold. So taking your feet out to the corners of your mat or as far as you can. And you wanna kind of tilt your pelvis so that you're able to hinge from your hips and not just like sink into yourself. So keeping your toes pointing up. And then from there, you're just going to hinge yourself forward. You can grab onto whatever you can reach, your shins, your ankles, your toes, whatever it is. If you want, maybe you can get your forearms down onto the mat or maybe onto a block or a cushion. You could start there. It's a fairly intense hamstring, actually all the way down the back of the leg and the inner thigh as well. Big stretch. Breathing into that. This one, gravity tends to work in your favor, so you can kind of hang out here for a little bit longer than normal if you want. One more deep inhale and exhale. Coming up, we're going to move into a child's pose from here. So picking up the knees, bringing them back. We're going to take the knees as wide as the mat here, toes are together, sinking the hips down onto the heels and the forehead down to the mat. Take a few breaths here. Up into our tabletop position. We're going to stack our wrists underneath our shoulders, stacking the knees underneath the hips, and we'll just start with some cat-cows here. So inhaling, head goes up, tailbone lifts. Exhale, dropping the head, rounding the spine. And flowing with your breath here. Coming back to a neutral spine here, we're going to tuck our toes under and lift into a downward dog here. So lifting the hips up to the sky. Maybe you want to pedal out the feet, bending one knee at a time. Really pressing into those fingertips into the mat. We're going to take the right leg up to the sky here, bending the knee, stacking the hips, and looking under the arm. Bringing that leg down. Other side, lifting the left leg up to the sky, bend the knee, stack the hips, look under the arm. Coming back to your downward dog here. We're going to come forward into our plank position. And from here, we're going to lower down into our chaturanga. Untuck the toes, lifting up into your up dog. If you want to just do a small lift, that's totally up to you right now. Or you can do a full up dog from here. Then we're going to drop the knees. We're going to come over into a side plank, but a supported side plank here. So planting the right hand down, keeping the right knee down on the mat, pointing that toe, extending through that left leg, bringing the left arm up and over. Nice big full side body stretch here. Coming down, come back to your up dog. And then we're going to go the other direction. So dropping the knees, going on to the other hand, supported with the knee, extending through the leg. Coming back to your up dog. And then we're going to tuck the toes and go into our downward dog. Lifting the hips up. Pedal it out again if you want. Stepping forward so that you're in a forward fold. Grabbing one hand onto each elbow, hanging the head heavy. Maybe you want to sway side to side. And then releasing the arms, and we're going to slowly roll up to standing. Sweeping the arms up overhead. Taking the hands together, exhaling over to the left side. Inhale up, exhale to the right. And inhale back up. From here, we're going to sweep both arms up and diving forward again. I'm just going to move over here. So from here, planting your hands, we're going to take the right leg, step it back, so that you're going to be in a high lunge from here. So coming on up, really keeping this back leg strong, keeping the knee engaged, the whole leg is engaged, and then making sure your knee and your ankle are stacked on the front leg from here. Inhale, lifting the arms up, keeping the ribs tucked. We're going to add a bit of a flow here. So exhale, bringing the hands down, straighten the front leg, leaning forward, bending over that front knee. And then inhale, coming back. So bending into the front knee, bringing the arms up. Exhale, bring it hands down, straighten the knee, bending over that front knee. Inhale, bend the front knee, arms up, back leg is strong. Last one here, coming down, straighten the knee, bending over it. This time we're going to bend that front knee, dropping the back knee down to the mat, untuck the toes here. Bringing the hand to the center of the mat, we're going to twist towards the knee and extending the hand up to the sky. Bringing it back down, we're going to move into our lizard pose from here. So both hands to the inside of the foot and walking the foot out to the side of the mat here. Removing the sand from your mat. And then coming on down. This is a really intense hip opener, so maybe you're not feeling it today. That's totally fine. Totally fine to stay up on the hands. You're still working into that hip. If you have a block or a cushion or 2 blocks, whatever you need, or books, you can always use books. Maybe you want to come down a little bit onto your forearms and work into the hip from there. Breathing into that space, seeing if you can even out the weight between both arms on the mat so you're not just dumping into the one side. One more big inhale and exhale, coming back up, tucking those back toes. We're going to bring that foot back to meet the other one into your downward dog. Pedal it out. And we have to do the other side here. So this time we're going to step forward with our right foot, keeping the left toes up. Left knee is lifted, coming up into your high runner's lunge from here, bringing the arms up, keeping the ribs tucked down, breathing here, really strong back left leg. Exhale, bring the hands forward, straighten the leg, and forward fold over that right knee. Inhale, bend the knee, lifting up. Exhale, drop it down, straighten the knee, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knee, reaching up. Exhale, bringing hands down, straighten the knee, forward fold. Bending into that knee, dropping the left knee, taking the left hand center of the mat, twisting towards the right side, reaching up, still working into that hip flexor. The arm down onto the inside of the foot here, and then stepping it out to the side of the mat. This is our lizard pose on this side. So again, one side could be very different from the other. So coming to where, well, it's going to be uncomfortable, but coming to where it's doable, where you can breathe through it. And then see if you can even out the weight between the arms on the mat. Keep breathing into there. Walking the hands back up here, tucking those back toes back to your downward dog. Really spreading out the fingertips, pushing away the mat. Bending the knees, and you can step or hop your feet forward, hanging in a forward fold. And then from here, we're just going to drop the hips down, and we're We're gonna come into a wide squat from here. So taking your feet as wide as the mat. Toes are pointed out on an angle. You can use your elbows against the inside of your knees, maybe hands into prayer here. The goal, trying to bring the hips right down. This kind of works with your center of balance. Although my son told me it's not called center of balance, it's called center of mass. Who knew? I was told it was called center of balance. So whatever you want to call it, that's what we're working on. Maybe you want to go back and forth a little bit. Actually, we're going to add a little bit of movement here. So let's take the right hand down to the mat. Inhale, sweeping the left arm up and over. I'll add a side body stretch in there as well. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, right arm up and over. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, bringing it back. All right, you can just come on down from there. We're gonna roll down onto our backs from here. So keeping the knees bent and the feet on the mat, fairly close to the glutes here. We're gonna add some of our little bridges. Palms are down by your side. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, lifting the hips up to the sky here, really squeezing the glutes when you get to the top. Keeping the knees fairly close together, not touching, but fairly close. And then flowing with your breath. Inhale down, exhale lift. Couple more. And bringing the hips back down. We're going to take the right ankle, hook it over top of the left knee, keeping that foot flexed. We're going to add another hip stretch here, a glute stretch as well. So reaching through, if you need less of a stretch, you're going to reach the back of the thigh and pull it towards you. If you want more of a stretch, you're going to reach a little bit farther for the shin and pulling it towards you here. Essentially the same as our pigeon pose when we're down on our fronts. A little less intense on the knees though. And releasing that, we're going to switch sides, taking the left knee over top of the, left foot over top of the right knee, and then reaching through again, either the back of the thigh or onto the shin. Making sure to keep the foot flexed, drawing it towards the chest here. Releasing that down, let's take the feet as wide as the mat here and we'll just windshield wiper the knees, dropping left, dropping right. Back up to a seated position. You can just sit however is comfortable for you. Sitting cross-legged, maybe you want to sit up onto your knees, whatever you like. finding a moment of stillness here. Taking some deeper breaths, noticing how your body feels from when you started today. Hopefully we got into those hips and hamstrings a little bit. From Ephesians chapter 3 again, it says, "Now all glory to God, who is able through his mighty power at work within us to accomplish infinitely more than we could ever ask or imagine." Dropping your chin down to your chest. Tilting the head to the left side. Take the right arm behind the back. And then tilting to the right side. Taking the left arm behind the back. Coming back up to center. And we're done for today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again.